Kari Midthun.
And could you please spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
First name is Kari. Last name is Midthun.
Where are you employed, Dr. Midthun?
NMS Labs.
And can you describe what is NMS Labs?
NMS Labs is a large private toxicology laboratory. They specialize in both forensic toxicology, so driving under the influence of drug investigations, postmortem toxicology testing, specialty testing for things like metals, volatiles, special matrices like hair, neonatal testing, and then they also perform clinical testing. So testing forwarded from hospitals, testing forwarded from reference laboratories, things of that nature.
And what is your position at NMS Labs?
I'm a forensic toxicologist.
How long have you been in that position?
I've been at NMS for more than 6 years, but working in forensic toxicology longer.
Where were you at before NMS?
Immediately prior, I was at a company called United States Drug Testing Laboratories. It's out near Chicago. It's also a toxicology lab. And then in addition to that, I worked for several years as a forensic scientist at the New York State Police Forensic Investigation Center.
And what is your background, kind of training and experience to be a forensic toxicologist?
So the training is very specific and on the job, but then in addition to that, I have an educational background that includes bachelor degrees in both chemistry and biochemistry from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. And then in addition to that, I've earned a Master of Science and PhD in chemistry and chemical biology from Cornell University in New York.
And can you approximate how many specimens that you have analyzed over the course of your career?
At the bench, thousands. In the capacity of a case reviewer, tens of thousands.
And have you been previously qualified as an expert in toxicology?
Yes.
And have you, how many states have you been qualified as an expert?
I have no idea off the top of my head. It's more than 10. This year alone, I've testified in California, Montana, Florida, Pennsylvania. Trying to think if I did any video testimonies. I did a video testimony with the state of Washington.
And you were qualified as an expert witness, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you analyze samples related to Ms. Jade Benning?
I did.
And at this time, I would tender Dr. Midthun as an expert in toxicology.
No objection. Okay. All right, again, ladies and gentlemen, this witness will be allowed to give an expert opinion. You can place such weight as you choose to upon it. Okay.
Dr. Midthun, are you familiar with CFSRE?
Yes.
And can you describe what kind of experience do you have with that lab?
So NMS Labs and CFSRE, which is the Center for Forensic Science, Education and Research, they are owned by the same family of companies or families. So the NMS side is more of the for-profit routine testing side. So individuals and agencies submit their samples. We perform the testing as a for-profit. The CFSRE side is more academic and research-based. So it's just a separate side to kind of two different heads and for different purposes.
And are you familiar with Dr. Alex Koltuski?
Yes.
Did you forward any samples to him during the process of analyzing different samples from Ms. Benning?
The laboratory did, yes.
Not you personally?
Not me personally, correct.
And can you describe, how does that work? If someone wants to have some type of sample tested, do they request a certain person? Like, do they request that it be sent to you? Or how do those assignments get made?
It can happen in many different ways. It can happen during the course of testing for an NMS case where we've identified a possibility that there's a drug or something in the background, and we don't have the capabilities to perform the test, but we think CFSRE might have that ability. So then we would ask permission from whoever submitted the sample. If they are willing and okay with it, we can then proceed to assist with transferring the sample or a portion of the sample over for the additional testing. Sometimes the request is made without us having to reach out. They just indicate that they would like that sample sent over. It happens organically, it just depends on the nature of the case.
And how many scientists from NMS worked on different samples related to Ms. Benning?
I have no idea what the total number is. NMS works in a very departmentalized system, so we have different departments performing different functions. So one department may just perform the alcohol testing. Another department may just perform the screen test. A separate department may perform some of the additional tests, such as a marijuana cannabinoids test. And so all of those different pieces are working simultaneously. When that finishes, it comes to my department, which is the toxicology department. We perform a final case review. So we're bringing all those pieces back together. So before the case ever reaches me, it could have touched dozens and dozens of individuals, depending on how much testing was required.
But were there other toxicologists that performed the same testing that you do that tested different items related to Ms. Benning's samples?
Yes, there were at least 2 others. Actually, there were a total of 5 that were involved in the case review for the number of cases that came through with that naming.
And have you reviewed and done your own testing for any of the samples that we're presenting in court today?
I re-reviewed 2 of them by request.
And the others, you were the original examiner, is that correct?
All but 2 of them. Actually all but 3 of them. One of them went out without a signature. It was a clinical request that did not require a forensic toxicology review. And then 2 separate work orders were reviewed by other toxicologists within the department.
I am going to ask that this witness be handed Exhibit 34. And Dr. Midthun, I'm also going to hand you several pages from your litigation packet related to NMS Work Order 230788891. Dr. Midthun, do you recognize those 2 items?
I recognize the NMS final report.
And does the NMS final report for work order 230788891, does that match the CFSRE report?
There is an indication here, yes, that they refer to each other, yes.
And there were samples from NMS that were transferred to CFSRE, is that correct?
Yes.
And these 2 things correspond?
Yes.
There was a page denoted with a post-it in the litigation pack paperwork.
Yes.
Can you describe that barcode in the middle of the page that is titled Analysis Requisition?
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing analysis requisition. On the page with the yellow?
Yes, at the top of the page. Does it say analysis requisition?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. I thought the sticky note was pointing me towards something. So yes, the top of the page.
The note is on the page that has that title.
Oh, good.
The sticky note is right under the barcode. Can you describe what is that barcode?
So this was a barcode placed on the requisition or submission form by the agency prior to it. So it's some form of a sticker barcode placed by the agency prior to them sending it to NMS. So it is adhered to the form, and then this is a photocopy of that.
And can you read out the barcode specimen ID number that's under the barcode for the record?
Yes, there's 23-007049A.
And can you also read for the record what the patient name as well as the date of birth is on this requisition request?
So the sample ID patient name was listed as Mayot, VUH, with a first name of Stat Fed.
And at this time, I'm going to ask the witness be handed 2 pages from Exhibit 11. It's page 70 and page 279. There is a sticky note on the first page. Is there a corresponding specimen ID number on that page 70 of the medical record?
So there is a specimen collected with a test ID noted that matches that number I just read from the barcode, which matches the same number that was on the sticker of the requisition form.
And is that specimen collected at 22:59 on February 25th of 2023?
According to the timeline here, yes.
And that was submitted to NMS Labs for the NMS work order 230788891, correct?
Yes.
And then that sample was then transferred to CFSRE, is that correct?
Yes, no testing was performed on that sample at NMS. It was transferred directly over.
And Your Honor, at this time I would ask that the NMS litigation packet be entered as the next numbered exhibit. And I would also ask to publish the first page of that along with previously introduced exhibit number 34.
Okay, cool. Let them pull out the exhibit they're wanting more. Is that the one you're wanting more? You said you wanted the litigation package more.
The one in your
Where
left
is
hand
that?
is the one that I would like introduced as an exhibit.
All right,
And then I
that'll be
just
39.
wanted her to retain the 2 pages of medical record numbers so we don't have
You
to deal
have
with
that.
it binder.
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
go ahead.
Is there anybody that can turn on the system?
Yeah, switch it over. Switch it to, you want it on the card?
I want it on the
Computer.
computer. Great. And Dr. Midthun, again, you have your work order on your report, and then that same work order number is on the CFSRE report, correct?
Correct.
And this is for the urine specimen from Vanderbilt University Medical Center, February 25th, 2023, collected at 22:59, and you have matched up that specimen ID, is that correct?
Correct.
And this is for patient Jade Benning, date of birth March 6, 1998. It's at the top of the medical record that you have.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
For
I was
your
going to say
match
it's not on either of the CFSRE or NMS lab reports at this time, but it does, yes, correspond to the same medical number on the top of the medical records for Jade Benning.
And you have page 70 of the medical record that gives the collection time, as well as page 279 of the medical record that lists that same specimen ID, and it has a reference to the NMS Labs report and has your signature on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And I can ask that the witness be handed exhibit number 35. And if you could just retain that, I'm going to ask that you be handed NMS final report 2307889, as well as a portion of the litigation pack from that same report 2307889. It's pages 6 through 10 of the litigation packet. Do you recognize those documents, Dr. Midthun?
I recognize the NMS report and then pieces of information from the NMS litigation packet. I had not reviewed the CFSRE report prior.
Which that's already an introduced exhibit. Is that the NMS report that corresponds to that work order number?
Yes, they both reference the work order 230-78899.
And is that work order, it is Dr. Kotelewski's report, exhibit 35. Do you recognize the work order on Dr. Kotelewski's report?
Yes.
And his case number is 2023-0090. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the CFSRE assigned unique number.
And Your Honor, at this time, I am going to ask that the NMS report be made an exhibit, but I would ask the witness to be able to retain it for a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
And may I publish that exhibit, which is now exhibit number 40, along with previously introduced exhibit number 35. And again, Dr. Midthun, do we have the NMS work order number on both of these reports?
Yes.
And I am going to ask that Dr. Midthun be handed pages 320 and 321 from Exhibit 11.
Okay.
Dr. Midthun, do you have the analysis requisition form as part of that paperwork
Yes.
with the barcode?
Yes.
Perfect. Can you read out the barcode for that analysis requisition form?
So beneath the barcode, the number is 23-057-004, I believe it's 143A.
And the medical record that you were handed, the 2 pages, Do you see that exact same specimen ID in those medical record pages 320 and 321?
I do see it on the bottom of page 321. I'm looking on page 320.
I think it's just on 321, those two pages just go together.
Okay, I see it, yes. It is clearly noted on the bottom of page 321.
And does that have that specific specimen ID?
Yes, it does.
And do your NMS records reference the date of collection for that specimen?
They do not.
So you validated the specimen ID, correct?
The
Barcode.
Yes. Oh, I mean, there is a collection noted on page 321. However, NMS was not provided that, so it's not on the NMS report.
But you have that specific barcoded specimen ID, correct?
Yes.
And that specific number is also listed on page 321 of the medical record. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that collection date is February 26th of 2023 at 13:35.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And that is page 321 of Exhibit 11. And just can you verify that at the top of that medical record, it also has Jade Benning's name as well as her date of birth of March 6, 1998?
Yes.
And Your Honor, at this time I would ask that that litigation paperwork be entered as the next numbered exhibit. I believe it was pages 6 through 10.
All right. If you get her report, she was gonna hold on to it. It was gonna be 40, and then you want the package?
To be 41.
Okay. Right, yeah, give those to the clerk.
Your Honor, may I ask that the witness be handed exhibit number 32?
Okay. Litigation. Okay, we don't need that.
Do you have exhibit 32, Dr. Midthun?
Yes, I do.
And can you turn, I apologize, I don't have the page number with me, but there is an NMS report that is incorporated within Dr. Kearney's autopsy. Do you see that?
I do.
And I have pages 15 through 27 of the litigation packet, as well as a copy of NMS report 23126889, report issued March 19th of 2026. I'm going to ask that the witness be handed these two items.
Okay.
Dr. Midthun, do you recognize the litigation packet as well as the report that is dated March of 2026?
Yes, I do.
And did you complete that March of 2026 report?
Yes, I did.
Are you familiar with the report that is in the autopsy of Dr. Aaron Carney?
Yes, the original report from May of 2023, yes.
And who did the original report?
So the original report was reviewed by, at the time, Megan Ringel, now Hessler.
And can you describe what, if anything, did you do regarding the samples that Megan Hessler previously analyzed?
So I performed a re-review of the case, but I performed it from fresh. I looked at all of the data on my own, fresh, didn't rely on her report to generate my report. And so based on my review of the findings and then all of the data generated, I created the secondary report. It's labeled corrected because it is different and separate from the original that was issued. As part of our process, we have to notate if there's any difference or if there's a second report ever issued. And so the NMS system of doing that is to label this as a corrected report because the signature changed. My signature now replaces hers.
And did you do your own independent analysis?
Yes.
And did you come to your own independent expert opinion?
I did, yes.
And did you reflect that in that corrected report?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that Dr. Midthun's report be entered as a next numbered exhibit. I would ask that she be able to retain it during testimony, but may I publish it to the jury?
Okay.
We
We would just raise our same objections.
Okay. Or it'll be 42.
42, and then if I can have the litigation packet, be 43 with corresponds.
All right,
but
where's
she
the
can
litigation
retain it.
packet? Or give that to that gentleman right there. You want that marked separately?
Yes.
43.
And Dr. Midthun, do you recognize the document that is on the screen next to you?
Yes.
Which this is just the first page of your report. Your report is actually multiple pages, is that correct?
Correct.
But does this summarize your findings?
Yes. The front page is a good summary of the findings.
And can you state for the record the work order?
The work order here is 23126889.
And is that the same work order that is on the original report of Ms. Hessler that's part of Dr. Carney's autopsy in Exhibit 32?
Yes, it is.
And specifically, can you describe what was the item in 001 that you analyzed?
So 001 is a hospital tube. The collection date and time noted were February 25th, 2023 at 22:31.
And who sent that in to NMS Labs?
This was submitted through the Forensic Medical Management Services, or FMMS.
And can you describe what is the collection date and time that is listed on the report?
So the date and time provided was, again, February 25th, 2023 at 22:31.
And this is kind of a zoom in. It still has your work order as the collection date and time. Can you describe your findings for hospital blood 001?
Yes, the sample confirmed positive for the presence of cocaine and metabolites, including benzoylecgonine and ecgonine methyl ester.
And are your results consistent with forensic scientist Megan Hessler? Or toxicologist, I apologize.
Yes, they are.
And are you familiar that Dr. Carney, who does something completely different than you do as a toxicologist, that when she is trying to estimate the number of the parent cocaine when she has ecgonine methyl ester, that she adds those two numbers together?
I became aware of it while preparing for today. It was mentioned to me, yes.
And is that something that you as a toxicologist, you do not estimate these?
We do not.
You are finite, very specific numbers.
We
Is that
like our
correct?
facts and figures, yes.
But are you familiar with forensic pathologists that they interpret toxicology results as part of their profession?
They use it to add to the context of the case information that they have in order to perform their job, which is determining the cause of death.
And so what you're doing and what she's doing are two separate things. Is that correct?
That's very fair, yes.
And can you just read into the record what the results were for the three substances related to the 001 hospital blood from February 25th, 2023 at 22:31?
So the results were benzoylecgonine at 1,800 nanograms per milliliter, cocaine at 78 nanograms per milliliter, and ecgonine methyl ester at 7,800 nanograms per milliliter.
And the test that you ran, did it also test for cocoethylene?
I believe so. 1 second. Yes, cocoethylene is within the scope of that test, yes.
And did it also test for several other narcotic substances?
A separate test was asked and requested to be performed for designer opioids.
And were any found?
No, none above any detection limits or reporting limits.
Are these the only substances that were found in the blood that was tested from that first hospital blood?
The only findings within the scope of what we were asked to test.
And one of those was cocaine, correct?
Yes,
And then also designer opioids, is that correct?
yes.
And specifically, did you also test the item 003 of the liver tissue?
Yes, there was a homogenate liver tissue that was tested.
And that was also submitted by Dr. Carney with Forensic Medical Services, is that correct?
Correct.
And can you describe what was the positive result for that?
So this is based on just a screen test. The other results where a numeric value is reported is actually the result of multiple tests, both a screen and a confirmation. So in this case, there's only a presumptive positive finding because only the screen test was performed, that initial test. And it was positive for fluconazole.
And are you aware if there were any other substances that were under the level?
There were indications of things under the level. There was some additional testing performed on the liver to try and confirm those results, and all findings were below any detection limits.
And so if Dr. Carney said she called and spoke with someone and said there was cocaine that was detected, but it was not at the reportable limit, would that be consistent?
I saw the same notes and reviewed the same data, yes. So there were additional cocaine tests performed on the liver tissue.
Thank you, Dr. Midthun. I believe I asked that she be able to retain the last two exhibits, but if those could go to the clerk, I believe it's
42 and 43.
Okay.
I think you already took the one. I think it's just that one.
I am going to ask that the witness be handed NMS work order 23086-183. Do you recognize the report that was just handed to you?
Yes, this is the original final report for work order 23086-183.
And is that report dated March 17th of 2023?
Yes, it is.
And I am going to ask that the witness be handed a second item, which is also labeled work order 23086-183, but with a report issue date of March 19th, 2026. Do you recognize all of those items?
Yes.
And can you describe what is the report that has an issue date of March 19th, 2026?
So this is the corrected report that I personally issued for the same work order when asked to perform a re-review in preparation for today.
And did you analyze those samples independently?
Yes.
And did you form your own expert opinion about the results?
Yes, I did.
And did you document those results in the report issued on March 19th, 2026 at 1500?
Yes.
And if I can ask that the witness be handed another item, it is pages 17 and 18, and then I believe 41 through 43 of the litigation paperwork. Do you recognize those pages?
Yes.
And can you describe what those pages are?
So this includes the submission form and then documents noting the inventory of the items received for work order 23086-183.
And can you describe what was the item that is labeled in your report as 001 antemortem blood?
It's a gray stopper glass tube.
And does it have a date and time associated with it?
The collection date and time provided to us was February 27th, 2023 at 2:17.
And that is one of the items that you reanalyzed and have findings on. Is that correct?
I re-reviewed, yes, the data and the information generated.
Your Honor, may I publish to the jury the first page of Dr. Midthun's report dated March 19th of 2026?
Okay.
Dr. Midthun, do you recognize the image on the screen?
Yes.
And is that the summary of your findings related to the antemortem blood collected by NMPD and submitted to you by NMPD on February 27th, 2023 at 2:17 p.m.?
Yes.
And I am going to zoom in to just the results related to that antemortem blood. Was there another item that was submitted under the same work order?
Yes.
So So just focusing on the antemortem blood, can you describe what testing you performed and what your results were?
So in this instance, the request made by the Metro Nashville Police Department Crime Lab was to perform a more expansive blood test. So this includes looking for common drugs of abuse and misuse. It includes looking for common therapeutic prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs, things of that nature. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
So could you explain your findings of, I guess, what you were testing for, but then also what you found based on that testing?
So this was a more expansive blood test that was performed. It did include looking for things like ethanol and various volatiles. And so the results concluded from the blood sample, they were positive for acetone, positive for lorazepam, which is a benzodiazepine, positive for cocaine and one of its metabolites, positive for a drug called levetiracetam, and then positive for fentanyl and its metabolite norfentanyl.
And can you describe the cocaine and the BZE? Are those consistent results with the prior testing that was done on Ms. Benning's blood? From the autopsy report that had an earlier, that had an earlier collection time, is that consistent based off of the collection time of this blood sample?
I mean, yes, they're both present. So we're still seeing indications of the active cocaine, and then we're also seeing indications of that metabolite, yes.
And is it, I guess, can you describe, like, does cocaine, is it going to dissipate over time, not all at once?
As the body is metabolizing it, yes, your body metabolizes a portion of it at a time. So we typically indicate that as a half-life, so the amount of time that it takes for approximately half of the drug to leave the body is one half-life. And it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 half-lives for a drug to fully eliminate from the body. But there can be some very big variations there, depending on the drug involved. Some drugs have a longer half-life, some have a shorter half-life. In the case of cocaine, it gets complicated because cocaine itself is a very unstable drug. It can actually break down even when it's in a glass tube. So we have to keep that in mind. That's why it's hard to really compare apples to apples there. The cocaine, it's possible it broke down when it was in the first tube. It's possible that some of it broke down in this tube as well.
And have you seen results of cocaine in blood samples of this level before?
Because we do a lot of postmortem autopsy testing for all 50 states in the country, yes, I have actually.
And this particular result, I guess I'll wait till we get to your final test to kind of connect the two things. Can you describe the acetone that had a positive result? What is that indicative of?
The presence of acetone in blood or urine can indicate a couple different factors. The key part being that there's some sort of ketoacidosis going on, and so that is the formation of these ketone bodies like acetone and isopropyl alcohol in the body. But what is indicating, it could be from a variety of different reasons. It could be diabetic or alcoholic ketoacidosis. You can see it happen in trauma. You can see it happen in like a flight or fight response. You can see it happen during times of starvation when the normal way that the body digests food and metabolizes food isn't working, and the body actually starts to work on using its fat reserves as a food source. So it could be in there for a variety of reasons.
And is it consistent with Ms. Benning arriving at the hospital dead, having to be intubated and then placed on a respirator to help her breathe?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this witness answering that line of question. She answered when she was being qualified that she is...
Okay, do you want to rephrase that to see if she has an opinion about? Where did that plan come from?
Dr. Midthun, is it major surgery or extreme stress that you would receive in a hospital if you're on a ventilator? Is that something that might cause pathogen?
It's possible.
And if the person had not eaten food because they were on a ventilator, would that be that ketones that you were describing?
Objection, Your Honor, same objection.
Okay, she filed a real objection. Go ahead.
It's also possible, yes.
And can you describe lorazepam? Is that something that you see when someone is in the hospital undergoing medical treatment?
It can be administered. It is a prescription benzodiazepine. It's typically prescribed for conditions like insomnia or possibly to assist with reducing and limiting seizures.
And you've already talked about the BZE and the cocaine, the next substance. Can you describe what is that positive result?
So it's positive for levetiracetam at a result of 24 micrograms per milliliter. Levetiracetam is commonly known as Keppra, which I think people may be more familiar with and is definitely easier to pronounce. So that is also an anti-seizure drug that is commonly provided or administered during medical treatment.
And the next two positive results are for fentanyl and norfentanyl. Are those also common medications when someone is in the hospital and on a ventilator?
They can be. They can be commonly administered depending on the nature of the trauma or event that's happening with the individual. Fentanyl can also be used as an anesthetic during surgery.
And if the medical records indicate that Ms. Benning was given fentanyl sometime on February 26, 2023, then this test on February 27th, or collection on February 27th, 2023 would be consistent with that.
It would be very possible to still detect it, yes, depending on the dose provided.
Well, she was continuing to get fentanyl from February 26th of 2023, I believe, up until the point that she was removed from the ventilator on March 6th of 2023.
So if it's continuously being added, then yes, it's certainly possible to be able to detect it.
Thank you. And going back to, this is the exact same report that you have been testifying to. There is a second item, which is the 002 urine. Can you describe what testing did you perform on that?
So similar idea. The request made was to do an expansive test on the urine sample as well. The scopes may be slightly different for the drugs that are being tested for between the urine and the blood. That's just due to the nature of those two samples. Urine tends to see more metabolites because the body has processed it. It's on its way out of the body. And so the scopes are slightly different between the two.
And can you refer to the analysis requisition that is part of the litigation paperwork as it relates to that item 002 urine? Can you describe the information listed for the collected date, time?
We were not provided any specific information for a time, but a date of February 27, 2023 was provided.
And can you indicate which officer requested that testing be done?
This was requested by Adam Reese with the Metro Nashville Police Department.
And can you review the subsequent pages of the litigation paperwork, and can you verify where that sample came from and where it was returned to?
So it was received via FedEx courier from Metro Nashville Police Department Crime Lab in Madison, Tennessee. And then as far as return, it was returned to the Evidence Return Department at the MNPD Crime Laboratory in Madison, Tennessee.
And are you familiar with Amanda Sweet?
previously, and then from professional organizations. She and I have worked previous cases as well.
And she works for the Metro Nashville Police Department's crime lab, is that correct?
Yes.
And if that specific piece of evidence that there's been chain of custody on indicates that it was collected at 1603, you would refer to the actual piece of evidence for the time since it wasn't provided on your paperwork, correct?
Correct. We'd have to refer to the physical evidence if there was a sticker on it or some alternate paperwork provided.
It definitely was February 27th of 2023.
Yes, that's what was provided.
And can you describe what testing was done on the urine and then also the results that you received?
So an expansive urine panel was performed, and as you can see, there's a lot of findings, so we'll go through kind of one by one. For ANPP and naloxone were both reported presumptive positive based on a screen test only. The remaining findings all had both a screen test and then additional definitive confirmation tests performed. And so that includes acetaminophen, commonly known as Tylenol. We have several different benzodiazepines, including nordiazepine, nordiazepam, oxazepam, temazepam, lorazepam, and 1-hydroxymidazolam. Those are all in that class called benzodiazepines. There was also a finding of cocaine and its metabolite benzoylecgonine. There was a finding of levetiracetam, and then fentanyl and its metabolite norfentanyl.
And I guess, can you explain why do we have additional substances in the urine that did not show up in the blood? Is it just a different type of testing?
In this case, it also is possible that these were drugs administered a longer time ago, and the body is still working to flush them out. Urine keeps retained in your bladder for some time until you void it, so it's just possible that those drugs were administered longer ago. And in the instance of some of the benzodiazepines, it's very likely that some of these are metabolites based off of a different drug that was provided.
And this is during the time that Ms. Benning is admitted to the hospital. Again, she was in the emergency department, but then she's placed on a ventilator, and so they could have given more drugs when she's first being worked on and then changed kind of that protocol. Would that be consistent with these results?
It's definitely possible, yes.
Okay. And I guess kind of comparatively, the urine result of the 4,000 nanograms per milliliter of cocaine compared to the result in the blood, can you kind of give some context to that? Or does it make sense to compare a blood result to a urine result, or are they different types of matrices?
They're different types. If you think about the idea that urine can be stored in the bladder, you can have an individual who's dehydrated or who's drank a lot of water and kind of gotten overhydrated. That can really change the concentration in urine. So I would say we look at urine more qualitatively, typically, and look to see if there's a lot of a substance in there or a little of a substance in there. But we don't necessarily rely on the hard values, just because there can be a lot of variability there, depending on how often someone's going to the bathroom and voiding their bladder. It can really change those concentrations.
And somebody that's on a ventilator, that's going to affect that as well?
Yes.
And Your Honor, at this time I would ask that the original report, and the litigation packet be made a collective exhibit 44. That's the one that I handed to y'all.
31926.
I'm sorry. litigation pack with 2 different samples.
Okay.
And Dr. Midthun, I have a set of 11 photographs, as well as an NMS report, work order number 23129-285. I'm going to ask that you be handed both of these items.
Thank you.
Dr. Midthun, do you recognize that report?
Yes, I do.
And can you describe what is that a report of?
This is a manually created report that I authored with regards to a request that came for testing of both a washcloth and a comforter that were received with biological stains on them.
And who submitted those and made that request?
This was submitted at the request of Metro Nashville Police Department in care of Officer Adam Reese.
And do you recognize the 2 samples that you received? Are they reflected in those photographs?
Yes.
And did you examine, at least visually examine, both of those items during your analysis?
Yes, I physically performed actually I took most of these pictures myself too, but I physically performed the visual inspection and the inspection of the items.
And did you do the original sample collection and analysis of these 2 items?
I did. I did the original sample selection, so where we were going to be testing which parts of the fabric we were going to physically cut out and test, because we obviously can't test a full large bedside comforter. And then I prepared the samples and got them to a point where they were then able to be entered into the laboratory in the normal flow of samples.
And the first item that you've just been describing, can you just state for the record, what was that item?
The item that we physically tested was item number 2, which was a large blue comforter.
And I guess I call it the second item, but it's labeled as 00. Well, I'm sorry, the one that is labeled
Oh, I'm sorry.
23129285001.
Sorry, you are correct. I have them flipped. 001 is the large blue comforter, and then there was an item 002, which was a normal sized kind of golden yellow washcloth.
Okay.
Sorry, I misspoke.
It is late in the day. Your Honor, may I publish Dr. Midthun's June 30th, 2023 report, work order number 2312928?
Okay.
And Dr. Midthun, this first page of your report, does it reflect those 2 items that you had just testified to?
Yes.
And are those 2 items located on this portion of your report?
Yes.
And does it actually have the Metro Nashville Police Department case ID number associated with your work order?
Yes, it does.
And that is kind of midway through the page.
Yes.
And you said that you did recognize those 11 photographs, is that correct?
Yes.
And Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to ask that those 11 photographs be introduced as the next number exhibit, which I believe is 45. And I can't remember the 11th number of the alphabet, but I'm sure Madam Clerk will assist me with that.
Do you need these back?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
May I have permission to publish those?
Sure.
Thank you. Dr. Midthun, this is Exhibit 45A. Can you describe what's shown here?
So this is how the items were received. They were received inside of a large red biohazard bag, and then inside that biohazard red plastic bag was in this case, it was actually a brown paper lawn bag, because it was the largest bag that could fit the item. And then once we opened the seals and went in even further, we were able to see what the actual items were. But this is what it looked like when we received it.
And that has the Metro Nashville Police Department complaint number 23-0120532, as well as the address of 1522 Lebanon Pike, number 107. It has a February 27, 23, 0219 date, and it is also labeled as blue comforter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the next image is 45B. Can you describe this exhibit?
This is just the backside of the first image that you had, so you can see the seals and how the item was received, completely taped over and sealed.
And the next image, which is a zoom in of the label from 45B, could you describe what's shown here in 45C?
So this is a sticker applied to the outside of that lawn bag that was provided with Metro Nashville PD's information on it. So this appears to be their way of labeling their evidence.
And the next image is exhibit 45D. Can you describe what's shown here?
So this was the biological stain located roughly near the center of the comforter. It's a little hard to see on the picture, but there is a discoloration. It's a darker blue color, roughly the size of a dinner plate. And then there is some pink solid material kind of towards the center of the stain.
Dr. Midthun, if you touch the monitor in front of you, you should be able to draw on the screen to show what you're referring to.
So that's approximately, it fits within that.
And can you describe, I guess, your visual examination of this blue comforter? What is the substance within that circle that you have circled?
It was labeled vomit as we received it. So we believed it to be some sort of gastric contents, vomitus. It's unclear. We don't necessarily know when we receive items what they are, but it was labeled and told to us that it was some sort of a biologic.
And the next image, which is 45E, can you describe what's shown here?
Same picture of the stained area, but with a ruler added just to help with sizing reference.
And the next image, which is 45F, can you describe what's shown here?
So the first image was trying to get kind of the width of the stain. This is trying to provide the rough height of the stain, but same thing, trying to provide a scale for how large the stain size was.
And the next image, which is 45G, can you describe what's shown here?
So this is if you flip the comforter over. Some of the stain was actually visible all the way through the comforter onto the back side. So it was a smaller surface there, and so the ruler is provided to help with scale.
And can you describe the process that you went through to analyze this particular item that was submitted to you?
So these are a more unique type of testing that NMS can perform. It's called a forensic investigation. And so in order to perform the test, we have to identify where a stained area is. We also try to look for areas outside of that stained area that we can use as control samples, just to try and ensure the accuracy of the result if there's some sort of response that we're receiving from the fabric it should also be in those control samples. So it helps us kind of determine what is background versus what is this additional biologic material bringing to the case at hand. In addition to that, we also prepare some external samples that are external to this blanket. So we'll find some fabric that is unrelated to the case and use that and test that in parallel as well. So as part of analysis here, it's identifying the region where the stain is, and then identifying a relative size and area that we can actually cut out and excise from the stained area. That becomes our case sample for testing, and then areas external to that. So in this case, I chose areas towards the outer portion of the comforter that did not appear to have stains that I could also cut and use as my control samples.
And did you cut that portion of the comforter?
We physically chose to cut the portion that we saw that was stained all the way through, just because we thought that represented kind of the most saturated portion and had our best chance of trying to extract whatever that biological fluid was. So yes, that square directly was what we tested.
And what type of testing was performed on, I guess, the sample that you collected?
Once prepared and we were able to, using methanol, we were able to extract off what was in the fluids off of the comforter and the fabric and the batting. The test procedure that we used is just a general basic drug test. So it ran under what's called an immunoassay. Immunoassays are looking for general drug classes. So it'll look for things like cocaine. There's a test that can be performed for the drug class of cannabinoids or marijuana. Another test can be performed for opiates. So it's looking for very general common drugs of abuse and misuse. Specifically in this case, Metro Nashville police let us know that they were interested in having us test for fentanyl and cocaine. So in those instances, I only prepared controls and control samples with known quantities of cocaine and fentanyl in those controls. I didn't prepare with any additional drugs that could have been within a scope.
And can you describe, when you're testing, did you receive any results?
Yes.
And what were those results?
So because we don't know how efficient our ability to extract those biological fluids out of the blanket maybe, we don't quantify. It's really a positive or a not present. And so in this case, we were able to detect the presence of cocaine and benzoylecgonine in the stained portion of or from that stained portion. We did not detect fentanyl or norfentanyl.
So there was no fentanyl whatsoever, but you did have cocaine and the BZE.
Not in that stained portion.
And can you describe that testing process when you run kind of a first screen? Is it possible that the concentration of the sample that you're running is too high for the, I guess, testing equipment that you're using? Can you describe that testing equipment a little bit?
One issue and limitation of immunoassays, just because they work like a lock and a key with antibodies. So the antibody is your lock. If a drug is present, it's the key, and it goes and binds in. And then it's called a sandwich assay because we have a detection molecule that then comes back on the other side, and so they sandwich the drug in between. And one limitation of performing a style of test like that is that if you have too much drug present, it can cause something called a hook effect and lead to a false negative sometimes. And that means that you have so much drug, it's binding to the antigen on this side and the detection molecule on that side, and they aren't able to fully form that sandwich. And so it can actually interfere with your ability to properly detect.
And what was the, I guess, concentration level of the cocaine in this sample? Did you have to run it multiple times?
We did have to repeat the test. The initial attempt with the cocaine exceeded the ability on our confirmation testing. It exceeded our analytical range. So when we create these tests in the laboratory, we set them up so that we can run them repeatedly, and they fit the vast majority of our case samples. So the concentrations usually fall within a specific analytical range that we're looking at. In this case, the case response exceeded that original analytical range. So we had to go back and repeat it on dilution to ensure that we were getting an accurate result, that there were no interferences, that things were running properly, and we had an accurate response coming through on all of our indicators and acceptability for the criteria.
And what is a typical BZE amount?
The analytical range normally for that method runs from 50 to 5,000.
And I guess, what was the concentration of the first test before you diluted it?
I'm trying to recall it, and it far exceeded the 5,000. We ended up repeating the test at both a 10-fold dilution and a 100-fold dilution because we weren't sure whether a 10-fold dilution would properly get it into that analytical range.
So you diluted it 100-fold to be able to test it properly?
We ran it both 10-fold and 100-fold. On the same run, we ran them together.
And was the amount at 10-fold, was that too high to report? Is that why it was diluted again?
I don't recall off the top of my head if the 10-fold result was acceptable, or if the acceptable result came from the 100-fold run. I'm sorry, I don't recall the exact.
My notes based off of our many conversations about this particular test is that you diluted the sample 100-fold to get it down to a level that your machine could test.
We ran it on the same batch. We were able to run both dilutions, and so that's where I'm fuzzy on if we accepted the 10-fold result.
Can you find that out by tomorrow?
Yes,
Okay. Go ahead.
It's in my notes.
Their notes are here.
In the back of the room, yes.
How long
You
will
got her notes?
Sure. Where are they?
I believe the binder.
Perfect.
And Your Honor, maybe ask that we be allowed to look at those notes as well, please.
Were your notes included in the litigation packet?
No, these were just my notes for trying to remember all of the runs today and trying to keep all the work orders straight.
Notes you made recently.
Yes, in preparation for today.
Okay. Find them and we'll make a copy.
Oh, actually, I think they might actually be in there. I'm sorry. Okay, so in this case, we were able to accept the 10-fold dilution. The 100-fold dilution provided a consistent result with the 10-fold dilution. So the two results were very consistent with one another. Since they were consistent and the lower dilution was acceptable, we accepted that result.
Okay. But you did both of them, correct?
Yes.
And you said that the results were consistent.
Okay. 1 second. I'm gonna misstate that. I misstated that. Both results, I was looking at the high control sample. Both results were accepted from the 100-fold dilution. And those were the ones that were reported. Both the cocaine and the BZE were accepted from the 100-fold dilution.
Not the 10th.
Not the tenfold. I'm sorry, I misstated that. I was looking at one of the control samples. I
So-
apologize.
The 100-fold dilution, so if the amount that you typically would test would be 50 to 5,000 nanograms, we are now looking at up to 500,000 nanograms per milliliter.
Yes, so 5,000 to, yes, 500,000. Yes.
And what was the result?
So we reported as positive because we don't have a true quantitation running there. We reported as positive. We don't report that quantity.
What was the number that you obtained to be able to report it positive?
In the data, the reported result or the quantitated result was over 87,000. Yes, over 87,000.
And 87,000, that is nanograms per milliliter.
Sorry, yes.
I'm going to object in her attaching a number, a quantitative number, because she has stated she could not do it.
Okay, well, you can cross-examine about that. Do you want to ask any other questions about that?
I have other questions for her about this. Yes, Your Honor.
The data is in the litigation packet.
Yes, it was provided to our office as well as defense counsel. They have all of that underlying data. Dr. Midthun, can you explain why the report is just reported out positive?
So we don't know the efficiency of being able to extract those fluids off. And so we were repeating on dilution to ensure that the sample fell within a proper quantitative range and that the ratios were acceptable and our acceptability criteria is met, but we do not report quantitative values in these instances because it would be hard to assign a number and a value to what's going on there. It's more a qualitative presence of was it present or not present. So that's why I do caveat, that is the response off the instrument. Whether that is a true, fair, and accurate concentration, I would hesitate to say that. It was a large value that needed to be run on dilution in order to get an acceptable result.
And again, that is because as a toxicologist, everything that you are doing, it is precision, it's very precise, as well as there are certain reporting limits and kind of rules about what actual amount and level you're going to report out versus just a positive. Is that right?
There are requirements about what needs to be run, and I'm looking at, there was a note that there may have been some questions on the original calibrator curve for that run. So anything that was attempting to be reported with a qualitative value was going to be repeated to ensure the accuracy of anything that went out with a number attached. We know that the quality controls that we run several quality controls that are just positive at a high concentration, positive at a low concentration, qualitatively, in addition to those numeric controls. Those were all acceptable. So we can accept things as qualitatively positive, qualitatively not detected, but we were not able to report things with a numeric value on that run just due to questions they had with that calibration curve. So that is my hesitation in assigning a numeric value. I would say it's a response. It is a strong response.
And that amount of 87,000 nanograms per milliliter with all of the kind of conditions that you have put with it, is that consistent with Dr. Carney's prior testimony that adding the EME to the parent cocaine in that first hospital blood being 7,878 is the value that you obtained? Is it consistent?
Objection, this witness has already testified that that was outside her wheelhouse to be able to make those kind of opinions.
Okay, from your perspective as a forensic toxicologist, can you answer that question?
I mean, they're different specimens, so I would hesitate to do that. This is...
You hesitate to do that.
Dr. Midthun, this was determined to be a spit up vomit, correct?
Correct.
And the analysis included that first hospital blood that you also analyzed, correct?
Correct.
And is your assessment that the substance of cocaine was ingested orally by Ms. Benning?
Objection outside the scope of her expertise.
Okay, she's smart enough to, can you answer that question?
I think I
From
can.
your training?
This is indicating that there was some sort of oral consumption, yes.
Overruling, Your Honor, on that.
I just did. She answered. I allowed it to answer, so I overruled your objection.
And if that substance on the comforter that you tested that came back 87,000 nanograms per milliliter, which I know that is just the
Okay, what is your
number.
question?
Is it consistent with the result in the first hospital blood?
Objection, same objection.
Consistent in terms of some kind of quantitative or that it's positive?
That it's, are those two values consistent?
Objection.
Do you have an opinion on that from your training?
I mean, they're separate. They're distinct matrices. So it's not comparing a blood to a blood. They're two separate matrices.
What's your next question?
Is it a high value?
If we're just looking at the numbers, it is higher than the blood number. But again, they're different matrices. They're not the same.
And now I have page 2 of your report on the screen. Can you describe the additional testing that you did to kind of verify the validity of this testing?
So as I said, we prepared a number of control samples. So in addition to the case sample, the unknown, we prepare a positive control that's at a low concentration of known concentrations. So I physically will go to the laboratory and I took spike solutions of both fentanyl and cocaine and added that to blank pieces of fabric, let them soak in, and then treated them as if they were stained pieces of fabric and ran them through the process. So I have a low control. I also did that with higher concentrations of those drugs. So I have a low control and a high control. We do another sample that is a negative control. It doesn't get any drugs added to it. That's really to test and determine kind of any background noise that may be coming from the fabric and the comforter. And then I also do that external negative control. So that's really a control to ensure that the laboratory hasn't introduced contamination into the sample during its run through the laboratory, that this process works. We can detect our internal standards and the extraction process is working well. And so in all, 5 pieces of fabric were prepared in order to test just this one case sample.
And all of those 5 testings were done to validate the results of the testing of the case sample, which is 231-29285-007. Is that correct?
4 controls and the 1 case sample, so 5 total.
And so on your report, it is that case sample with the positive for cocaine and the BCE.
Correct.
And all of the other results that are listed, that is referencing to those other samples.
Yes, there is a result for one of the negative control samples, and then other findings, none were indicated.
Can you explain what is the case blank in 004?
The case blank is that negative control from the comforter itself. So it was not spiked with any intentional fentanyl or cocaine solutions. It was from the outer periphery of the comforter in an area that we believe to be void of any stains.
And can you describe what area of the comforter did you take that sample from?
If I'm looking at the comforter, it was the lower left corner.
And did you pick a spot that was as far away from the actual case sample as you could?
That was our attempt, yes.
And can you describe the testing and the result that came from that case blank in 004?
During the course of testing, the result that came back, there was a slight positive indication for fentanyl and fentanyl only. on a piece of that negative control piece of fabric. There were no indications of norfentanyl, no indications of any other drugs, and it was just above our instrument's reporting limits. So it was a very low concentration, very low amount.
And can you describe, what does that mean that there was no norfentanyl in that trace amount?
So it can be contamination. It can be contamination from the environment, from someone handling it. It's hard to know how that got there. It did not appear in any of our other control samples. So it does not appear to be something that was caused during the testing in the laboratory, but how that result got there, I can't explain it other than to state it was likely some sort of external contamination from an environment somewhere.
But there was nothing about that sample that indicated in any way that it had been consumed and processed by a human body. Is that correct?
Nothing visible to our eyes.
And it didn't have any of the breakdowns of fentanyl that you would see if it had been ingested. Is that correct?
Correct. And it's also true. So when I was spiking with the known compounds, I was spiking with a mixture of multiple fentanyl compounds. So fentanyl, norfentanyl, acetylfentanyl, because I used a common spiking solution that we had in the laboratory so that I knew the exact concentrations I was adding. And I didn't see any of those either in looking at the data. Those were not present. So it wasn't from, say, me misspiking the sample or some sort of issue in that way.
And can you describe kind of the value? Was it a small amount?
It was just above the detection limit for that assay, which was 0.5 nanograms per milliliter.
0.5 nanograms.
Correct.
And it was just above.
The response was just above that, yes.
And did you try to duplicate that result?
How so?
Did you do any testing to try to, I guess, put fentanyl on a piece of fabric to get that same result?
Yes, that's the control samples we run. So there was a low control sample. I'm trying to remember. I believe I attempted to spike at 2 or 3 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl in that low control. It might have been higher, but 2 and 3 nanograms per milliliter are ringing a bell in my head. And then the high control was a significantly higher concentration. It was, I believe, 20 nanograms per milliliter.
And so are you saying that you weren't able to reproduce it?
And those controls came back positive for the drugs that they were supposed to come back positive for. And it was also appropriately resulting with norfentanyl and acetylfentanyl and the other drugs that I spiked in that instance. So those responses were agreeable there and what was expected.
And can you describe, you testified that it was a trace amount that you feel like came from environmental kind of contact.
It's some sort of contamination externally.
I object to the testifying and the leading nature of the question. I don't remember the witness testifying today.
You want to ask her again what she's already testified about?
Yes, can you just clarify what you mean by external in the environment?
So it's somehow it was placed onto the fabric, and I'm unclear how that happened. There are a lot of ways it can happen, just from the movement of that object between different individuals and different environments. Where that happened, I couldn't say. It happened before it reached the laboratory.
Thank you, Dr. Midthun. You have described that you also analyzed a second item, and I have 45H on the screen. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And can you describe what it is?
So this was a secondary package also received, also noted under the same work order 23129285.
And the next image is 45I. Can you describe what's shown here?
So it's the backside of that same brown paper bag, and then it contains all of the agency markings when it was submitted.
And it has that same address of 1522 Lebanon Pike, number 107. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the next image, which is 45J, can you describe what's shown here?
So this was the yellow golden washcloth that was received.
And the next item, or photograph, is 45K. Can you describe what's shown here?
So it's the same washcloth. It's just a movement of the ruler so that we can get the width.
And did you end up doing any testing on this washcloth?
We chose not to.
And why is that?
It was very difficult to see stained areas on this coloring and on this fabric. You can see some, can I draw on it?
Absolutely.
Okay. You can see some pink markings kind of in here, roughly in that range. There's a few spots with that same kind of pink solid material, but it was difficult to tell where any kind of that clear fluid may have been on the washcloth, and so it was very unclear where we could take a case sample versus a control sample and feel comfortable and confident about it.
And I am now displaying page 3 of your report. Can you describe what information is on page 3?
So you see my signature at the top because this is the final page of the report. It explains the testing was performed under chain of custody, and then it also provides a summary of what testing was performed and which instruments were used to perform the testing.
And again, your result is on page 2 of your report, and the case sample is 007, correct?
Yes.
And that is for the comforter, and it tested positive for cocaine and BCE.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Midthun. Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that Dr. Midthun's report that is labeled NMS Lab Work Order number 231-29285 be admitted as the next numbered exhibit, is 46.
And we did the 11 photos. We see those in your right.
Those were 45A through K.
Those were my notes.
Right, the 11 photos that you said plus the work order.
11 photos
So
were
now you're wanting the work order.
is the next numbered exhibit, 46.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions,
Okay,
Your Honor.
let the lawyer step up. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess for the day. Remember what I've said about not discussing the case, forming any opinion about it, looking anything up, watching any reports or anything media-wise. Leave your notes up here. Tomorrow, if you report like you did this morning, downstairs in the jury assembly room, 8:45, 8:50, been pretty good on being on time. So thank you for your service, and we'll see you in the morning. You can step out and look at the court office.
Are you making a photocopy of that, or? Okay. Thank you.
fully through 3 witnesses today. The state, how many more do you have?
Judge, some of it depends on the cross-examination of Dr. Midthun, I would think, before we can develop.
Who do you know you've got left?
I know that we have 4.
Who's that?
We have Miss Denny, we have Michael Johnson, we have Detective Reese, and we have Miss Benning's mother, Bridget Parks, that I know we are definitively calling all 4 of those.
Okay. So I'm just trying to give the defense, they can have some of their people ready tomorrow.
Judge, I have one thing that I need to address before we adjourn, if it's possible.
Okay.
There's been this issue about the iCloud. They filed a motion to suppress anything outside the range. Your Honor didn't rule on it. I was specific, we were not using it in our case in chief. I said, but if it comes up because they open the door on cross-examination or defense proof, then I would request Your Honor to.
We had a discussion yesterday about the iCloud.
Yes, we did. So there is a message that was in the iCloud search warrant return from 2018. It is a message between Ms. Apple Denny and Mr. Blaise Taylor. In that message, Ms. Denny references, it's a longer text message, but she references the girl who I had.
If I may I ask that at least that the media be shut down if she's going to go into any substantive evidence that has not been.
How can I shut down the media under Rule 30?
Well, maybe approach.
No. Tell me how to do that.
Well, you don't have to, maybe approach.
No.
May I ask that this, she not.
The
right
jurors
now,
aren't going to hear this.
We haven't opened the door to anything, neither do we plan.
I don't know.
Judge, I'm just making the court.
Okay, well, you don't have to read it. You're making them aware that if they mess around too much with Miss Denny, you may try to get into that.
Correct.
Okay, I mean, like I said Monday, I'm kind of a bottom line kind of person.
Yes, I have the same message from Miss Denny that was in the iCloud search warrant return. She has it on her phone. So I have it separately from the iCloud return.
Okay, so is it outside the time frame or inside the time frame?
Well, this doesn't have a time frame because I got it from her today.
Okay. Well, do they have a copy of the items you're holding in your hand?
I do.
That's why I was
You do?
addressing
I do.
the
Oh,
court. Because I am
You don't have to
providing-
give them to them for those copies? Okay, let them look at them and then they can go into their thought process, think tank about how they're gonna dwell with Miss Denny.
And Your Honor, just for the record, there is a separate iMessage that specifically references another part of Ms. Denny's testimony that I may ask the court to be able to use as well, depending on the cross-examination.
Okay, well, let's just deal with what the court's approved Ms. Denny testifying about, and then we'll see what the cross is.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I'm trying to, can
Can I
you,
just clarify? This is the message from Ms. Danny's phone. This is the message.
they're both, one's in the iCloud and one's on her phone currently.
And I had Detective Tom Miller, I sent him the images from her phone, and he validated that it was exactly the same.
Can I just inquire why the state is looking through Mr. Taylor's iCloud outside the scope of the search warrant?
I don't know, I thought we weren't gonna do that.
Your Honor said that we could not use it in our case in chief.
Yeah.
The detective already reviewed it.
Okay, it was already done when we had our last year.
He's making these going as fast as he can or too soft.
It sounds like they found this message and they asked him to go back in and look through his iCloud.
You know,
and
I
get
guess, did she show you this?
I've never seen this before.
I'm not
Yes.
asking you.
We asked her if she still
Miss
had,
Denny.
we asked her if she still had her messages from
Okay,
2018.
Miss Denny recently told them about that still in her phone.
And then they went into Mr. Taylor's iCloud?
Had already done
No,
that.
that was already done. Again, the court said,
The tip is, Mr. Brand, be careful.
Who didn't care?
You, or whoever's cross-examining Miss Denny.
I understand. I understood.
Okay.
I do understand.
Just a polite tip. Could somebody get me those copies? They weren't that lengthy. See where we are. I'm trying to get this lady out of here with her copy.
I guess then.
Don't guess anything. If it comes up, it comes up. We'll deal with it after Ms. Denny testifies.
Thank you.
Putting it together, but these are her notes.
Those are her notes. They're getting, I just need one copy.
You putting them together.
They're getting you copies of the notes that she's referenced here. You get everything back?
Just double check. Making sure I got all the pages. I think so, yeah.
Oh. Or will be recessed until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Just